Part 4. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 31. Chapter 31 Cruel Heart. Ye Wei was so frightened that he covered his ears and threw away his cell phone. Ye Wei's sudden reaction and the loud sound on his cell phone startled both Madame Ye and Madame Yun. Ye Wei picked up the phone with trembling fingers, and heard Yezikin's voice suddenly turned cold. Ye Wei, you are so self-righteous. You can't control what I, Yezikin, decide. Ye Wei bit her lower lip and wanted to explain, but Yezikin went her own way and hung up the phone. Ye frowned. She was not expecting her son to reprimand Ye Wei in turn. Yun almost fell down in anger. Isn't it the deep love between brother and sister? It turns out they were all fake, right? Yun didn't do anything right. She immediately slapped the table and beat her chest as if she was about to cry. My dream. Ye pretended to comfort her, and glanced at Ye Wei sitting next to her from time to time, feeling very uncomfortable. Everything her son did was clearly for the sake of his little daughter. I'm afraid he just told her on purpose. Ye, who knew the truth well, couldn't help but sneer in her heart. Yezikin still sent Yun Mensi to Uncle Nangong Luo's bar. Nangong Luo, who had witnessed Yezikin's anger throughout the whole process, was trembling. Boss, you are so cruel to your only sister, she must be crying at home. If you cry, just cry. No. Isn't it? Are you still my boss? The whole world may dislike Ye Wei, but Yezikin is the only one who can't, okay. Nangong Luo tried to reach out and touch Yezikin's forehead. Yezikin just glanced at him coldly. Try touching it. Nangong Luo immediately retracted his hands and put them in his pockets and whistled deliberately. Yezikin threw a car key to Nangong Luo and told him the problem in a cool tone. I'll leave those two women to you. If anything happens, it's mine. As soon as Nangong Luo saw the symbol on the key, his bitter expression immediately turned into a very doggy one, and he almost hugged Yezikin's thigh and called him daddy. Boss, you are so awesome, don't worry, leave the matter in my hands, Nangong Luo assured, patting his chest, his whole heart focused on the new car key. His old man obviously has a lot of money to spend, but he doesn't even want to give away a car. He recently took a fancy to a new brand, and thought he was just looking at it, but he didn't expect his boss to be so rich. Nangong Lubei entered the bar with satisfaction. Yezikin did not return home all night. Ye Wei couldn't find Yezikin, so in the end he only dared to call Gongqin Li. Gongqin Li, who was the only one who supported Ye, almost went berserk. At this time, she happened to receive another call from Yezikin. Yezikin asked Gongqin Li to calm Ye Wei's emotions. Gongqin Li was dumbfounded. No. Brother Chen, are you kidding me? What are you going to do? Lu Li. Yes, Brother Chen, tell me. Don't tell her that I contacted you. Sky, is this a quarrel? Yezikin is actually willing to make Ye Wei sad. Gongqin Li shook her head repeatedly, and when she was about to ask more questions, Yezikin fell silent. Boom. Yezikin opened bottle after bottle of wine in his temporary residence to numb himself, resisting the urge to go back to Ye's house to find Ye Wei. Everything he does today has a purpose. Ye's only timid performance made Yezikin suddenly realize that the little bell was now too weak to be attacked. At the beginning, the little Lingdang back then was obviously a ghost who boldly got into trouble. It was all because of that unexpected incident that led to their current relationship. He probably needs to find another way to give Ye the only space to grow. It was only at this time that Yezikin still missed his mother. It is not a fuel-efficient lamp. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 32. Chapter 32 Stay away from your brother. On the third day when Ye Wei was recuperating at home, Madame Ye personally brought the medicine to her. Ye Wei took the medicine bowl flattered and drank the bitter medicine completely. Mrs. sighed immediately. Oh, what happened yesterday really wronged you, but mom must take the overall situation into consideration when doing things. After all, it's all for your brother's good. He treats you like a biological sister. What Mrs. said seemed reasonable, but just saying sister was like stabbing a knife into Ye Wei's heart. Her mind suddenly became confused. The more Ye Wei thought about it, the tighter the sheets in her hands became. The sound of her breathing gradually getting heavier betrayed her inner panic. She bit her lower lip until it turned white before letting go, and retorted in a low voice, Mama, yeah, my brother and I are not biological siblings. Ye Wei lowered his head because of a guilty conscience at this moment, and missed the flash of darkness in Madame Ye's eyes. What nonsense are you talking about? You and Chenner are both good children in the eyes of your mother. You are brothers and sisters. This can never change. Mrs. voice suddenly became stern, but not cruel, as if she was educating her own children. Probably because she was afraid of scaring Ye Wei. After finishing speaking, Mrs. sighed again, don't be afraid, Wei. Mom is not blaming you, but she just feels sorry for you. You can just call me Mom from now on. You just need to remember you and your brother will always be brothers and sisters, understand? Mrs. kept talking about care and love, but she wanted to use kindness as a restraint. Ye Wei responded as expected, Mom, I'm sorry for making you worry. It's okay. For your own good, Mother has to advise you. After all, your brother is the heir of the family. You have too much influence on him now. Can Mother ask you to keep a little distance from your brother in the future? Ye Wei bit her lip, and under Madame Ye's hopeful gaze, she agreed in a weak voice, oh, I know. Mrs. smiled with satisfaction, but she didn't see. After Ye Wei lowered his head, a strange color flashed in his eyes. After Mrs. left, Ye Wei got up from the bed after resting for a while, turned on the computer, exported the contents of the recorder, and expertly manipulated and edited the audio track to make 2 copies of the final product. She anonymously passed the recording to Yun Mensi and Gu Xiao in a special way, but after they listened to it, they immediately destroyed it without leaving any evidence. Ye Wei specially asked Gong Qinli to pay attention to the time when the Yun family and the Gu family came to handle the procedures. She gave 2 recording gifts to the Yun and Gu families respectively. Gu Xiao and Yun Mensi are both selfish people. If they make mistakes, they will only put the responsibility on others. When I met Mrs. Yun that day, I knew that this kind of woman was not someone willing to settle things down. Now that the Gu family has been defeated, they must be dissatisfied when they see the Yun family. When they hear the recording, they will blame the fault on each other to vent their grief and anger. After doing all this, Ye Wei found that he felt extremely happy and felt a sense of revenge. When she returned to Ye's house, she saw Mrs. enjoying tea elegantly. When she passed by, Mrs. personally called her by name and praised her a few times, you are indeed very obedient. You haven't been near Chenna recently. Mom hopes that you can be so independent and strong in the future. Mrs. spoke sanctimoniously, and Ye Wei nodded submissively. After turning his back to Mrs., the slight pout at the corner of his mouth disappeared instantly. Let her stay away from Yezikin? It's really, sorry, I can't do it. Kixi reiterates that the heroine will grow. She will become the witty and beautiful little fairy in your mind. Prelude to Blackening. Not every heroine in a novel must be witty and smart from the beginning, and have a strong personality, okay. Xiao Lingdang's identity is that of an orphan whose parents both died. Even if she is an adopted daughter, she is still dependent on others. Should she still be very proud to say to everyone that she is the eldest daughter of the Ye family? Will he be accused of being arrogant and rude again? Even though Yezikin dotes on her, the rest of the Ye family may not do so. Xiao Lingdang cares about her brother, and Madame Ye is scheming, but as for feelings, she can't control them just by talking. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lukixi. Chapter 33. Chapter 33. You like your brother. Yezikin always checks his mobile phone when he stays out. Nangong Lugo on the side scratched his head, a little irritated. I don't know how long it took, but Nangong Lugo finally plucked up the courage to ask tentatively, "Boss, why don't you go back and take a look?" Yezikin glanced indifferently and shot a threatening look at him, causing the baby-faced Nangong Lugo to collapse inside. Nangong Lugo provoked the Yun family. Although Yezikin was there to support him, the old man in the family always felt that he was ignorant and kept talking in his ears every day. Nangong Lugo thought that the purest place was next to Yezikin, so he came to take refuge. It turned out that Yezikin was now gloomy and terrifying, as if his whole body was shrouded in darkness. Nangong Lugo felt aggrieved and embarrassed to say it. After all, he was always short-handed and soft-spoken. He was so happy when he received the new Global Limited Edition car. "Boss, how about I go and find out for you, see how the only girl is doing?" Nangong Lugo seemed to hear something but didn't hear it clearly. Seeing that Yezikin still looked like he was owed 3 to 5 million yuan, he assumed that the boss was too lazy to pay attention to him. About 10 seconds later, Yezikin suddenly looked at him and asked, "Why don't you go quickly?" "What?" Nangong Lugo was confused at first. Suddenly woke up. "I have the order, go immediately." Nangong Lugo inquired and learned that Ye Wei was much better now and would return to school tomorrow. Yezikin, who had already taken 2 days off, said in a deep voice, "Then go to class." Nangong Lugo. Why didn't he see that the boss was an arrogant person? Xinjiao Academy has been reorganized, and the most topical Ye family brothers and sisters have returned to school in less than 2 days and have been pushed to the peak of hot topics. What did they find? Yezikin and Ye Wei did not have dinner together. 2. Yezikin's basketball game was not attended by Ye Wei. 3. In the past 2 days at school, the two of them have not seen each other, as if they had become strangers. 4. Someone sent a love letter to Ye Wei. But he was not beaten by Yezikin. The fear of the high school student, "Oh my God, I just feel like something is wrong these days. Are the model siblings having a cold war?" Uneasiness in the junior high school, Ye Wei seems to be in a bad mood and is very scared. And the hero who sent Ye Wei a love letter was none other than the restless and trouble-making classmate Han Xingyi. Actually, it was not a love letter, it was just Han Xingyi deliberately stirring up trouble. He didn't expect Ye Wei to accept it, nor did he expect Yezikin not to cause trouble for him. Han Xingyi raised his head and sighed, "It's boring, it's really boring." Ye Wei at the back table is still a good girl, listening to the lectures and doing her homework carefully, and not listening to what is going on outside the window. Han Xingyi suddenly turned around. "Ah," Ye Wei quickly closed the open book. The quick movements made the bells on her wrists clang and make a crisp sound. Han Xingyi squinted his eyes slightly, showing suspicion. When Ye Wei went to the toilet, Han Xingyi quickly took out the book she had pressed under the book. "I actually saw. That book is filled with more than a dozen articles, and Yezikin's name is written all over it. There is also a small bell painted on the blank part." Han Xingyi's mouth corners rose. If he remembered correctly, Yezikin's only name for Ye was neither only nor sister, but Xiaolingdang. Han Xingyi took out his mobile phone and quickly took a photo and saved it. When Ye Wei came back from the toilet, she found that her notebook was placed at the top, and Han Xingyi was looking at her with a smile on his face. "The only heartbeat in the night is like thunder." Han Xingyi came close to her ear, "Ye Wei, do you like your brother?" Essay. Yes, only finger scratched the draft book under her palm. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Ixie. Chapter 34. Chapter 34 Preview of the beginning of transformation. Yeah, why, you actually like your brother. Han Xingyi's words were like the truth breaking out of a cocoon, and her hands and feet felt cold. At that moment, the faces of Yezikin and Madame Ye flashed in her mind, as well as the voice that told her to stay away from her brother like a curse. Ye Wei suddenly reached out and pushed him away, using anger to cover up his guilty conscience. What are you talking about? At this time, the whole class's eyes fell on them. The teacher who walked into the classroom at some unknown time knocked on the table. Classmate Ye Wei, student Han Xingyi, please be quiet. As you command, dear teacher. Han Xingyi's trick made the teacher shake his head helplessly. Ye Wei could never forget Han Xingyi's half-smiling expression, as if he had caught her. The head teacher stood on the podium and began to speak. Before class, I have something to tell everyone. Registration for the school's annual singer competition has begun. The class I lead can be in the top 3 every year. This year, I also hope that everyone will sign up enthusiastically. It is a lie to say that automatic participation is required. Those class teachers are so proud of themselves that they forcefully sign up and recommend a few groups to participate every time. And their class is really lucky, every time they catch capable people and get the ranking. At this time, those who were unwilling to participate began to recommend others. Teacher, Han Xingyi is a famous guitarist. Let him participate in the competition and he will definitely win first place. Yes, classmate Han Xingyi is so famous that he can scare the students in other classes to the point of trembling. The head teacher had already intended this, so he followed what the students said and said, okay, the entertainment committee member will write down the name of Han Xingyi first. Han Xingyi has long been accustomed to performing. In his opinion, the shows on campus are just a small show, but he is very naughty and has to make everyone anxious. Han Xingyi raised his hand. Teacher, I'm very busy with competitions, I'm afraid I don't have time. Classmate Han, class honor is very important, please discuss this with the entertainment committee member. The class teacher tactfully threw the trouble to the entertainment committee member. Han Xingyi rubbed the bridge of his nose in a ruffian manner. Who is the entertainment committee member? Ye Wei at the back table raised his hand in despair. When Han Xingyi saw it was her, he immediately responded, are you a member of the literary and art committee? That's fine, I'll join. Melon eating group leader, WTF. Sure enough, there is JQ. Because of Han Xingyi's participation, the head teacher put all the pressure on Han Xingyi and asked everyone to cooperate. But it is precisely because of Han Xingyi's extraordinary ability that puts pressure on other students. Those with good voices are not willing to team up with Han Xingyi for fear of being criticized. Ye Wei has a good temper and can't scare anyone, so he has to go to the teacher and say, teacher, the students think Han is too good and feels pressured, so they are unwilling to participate. Upon hearing this, the head teacher thought for a moment and smiled sweetly at Ye Yi. Classmate Ye, you are the entertainment committee member and you have to lead by example. Why don't you and classmate Han team up? After speaking, he patted Ye Wei on the shoulder with a pleased expression. Ye Wei wanted to cry but had no tears. Teacher, I don't. I knew you wouldn't refuse. If you win the award, not only will our class be honored, but even your brother will be proud of you. When Ye Wei, who was originally lifeless, suddenly heard sparks in his eyes when he heard the last words. She asked with a trembling voice, brother, will you be proud of me? That's natural. Teacher, I'm participating. The head teacher turned his head and gave a like gesture to Han Xingyi who was hiding in the back room. From here on, the only thing you have to do is fight for your brother. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Ixie. Chapter 35. Chapter 35, Is it possible to be the only one in the night? After agreeing to team up with Han Xingyi, I was still a little worried about whether Yezikin would stand in the way. But after a whole day and she didn't receive any response from her brother, Wei was quite frustrated. Starting at the phone in a daze. Elder brother. Brother ignores her, is he really proud of her? She became the entertainment committee member because when she first came to the class, the teacher encouraged everyone to perform their talents. Wei wanted to fit in with everyone, so she mustered up the courage to sing a song on stage, and became the entertainment committee member with her beautiful singing voice and unique voice. But in subsequent competitions, if she said she was afraid, her brother would help her push it away, and over time the teacher would not force her. It's just that this time there was a slight estrangement between her and her brother, and everyone knew it. She agreed to participate in the competition for her brother, but she was not sure whether her brother would be really proud of her. She wanted to go to her brother and apologize to him, but his brother has not expressed his stance yet. Boom. The only time she was in a daze at night was when a backpack hit her side. Han Xingyi threw his backpack on the ground proudly and sat down casually next to Ye Wei. He put his hand on Ye Wei's shoulder in a natural manner and asked, "Hey, little fool, when do you plan to start rehearsing?" Ye Wei responded listlessly, "Just make your decision. Anyway, they have the same starting and finishing time. Han Xingyi may have a competition, but the rest of the night is free." "That's okay, let's go to the music room today." "Oh." Ye Wei glanced at the backpack on the ground and patiently picked it up and handed it to Han Xingyi. Han Xingyi raised his eyebrows and smiled, "What a model of a good wife and mother." At a young age, we all know that paying attention to details is the most touching thing. Ye Wei's hand holding the school bag trembled, she really wanted to throw it out now. "Take it yourself. Look at me carrying such a heavy guitar, please help me get a small backpack, it's not heavy." Ye Wei waited and found that it was indeed not heavy, otherwise Han Xingyi would not have thrown it directly to the ground. Ye Wei, who was easy to bully, thought that this time Han Xingyi had high hopes from the class, so she gave in and agreed, "Okay." There was no one in the music room, so it was a bit awkward for the two of them to go in alone. Ye Wei hesitated for a moment and couldn't help but ask, "Well, are it just the two of us?" Han Xingyi, who had just taken out his guitar, saw Ye Wei's embarrassed reaction, and immediately started teasing him, smiling meaningfully. "Of course, how can we let others disturb the world between two people? You are talking nonsense again, if you do this, I will leave." She hated those words the most, they were very unpleasant to hear. This stingy reaction made Han Xingyi laugh with his arms akimbo, "You little fool, you are so funny. Of course it's not just us. Look, our teammates are already here. They have a total of 4 people, including vocals, guitar, bass, and drums. Those 2 classmates had participated in interest training classes, so they were attracted by Han Xingyi. The bass player is called Luo Yi. He is outgoing and likes to jump around in the class to make his presence felt. The drummer is amazing, her name is Mo Kikai, she is a very handsome girl. The night before, I thought this girl was capable, but unfortunately I never had the guts to hook up with her. It goes without saying that Han Xingyi is a powerful guitarist and good-looking person. These 3 people have their own styles and look interesting, but only the lead singer they chose, Ye Wei, looked like a little sheep. Luo Yi stared at Ye Wei for a long time, then held back a sentence, "Can our entertainment committee member do it?" Yezikin glanced coldly, "You dare to say that my little bell is not good? The story of the book review area is connected to the dragon, you all go and play. There is also guest house Mo Kikai who left her name has been selected. Little cuties, please leave your names, with different styles." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 36. Chapter 36 The Legend About Ear Piercing. Luo Yi's doubts made Ye Wei feel cold. Han Xingyi gave Luo Yi a flying look, turned to look at Ye Wei, and said deliberately, "What do you mean? Yezikin's sister can't be embarrassed, right?" Yezikin's name was like giving Ye Wei a shot of blood. She raised her head suddenly and told them with firm eyes, "I can do it, I will work hard." "Okay, don't waste time. Let's discuss the repertoire and start rehearsing. I want to go home early." The handsome Mo Kikai flipped up her short hair, revealing the blue diamond on her right ear, which was the only one who caught Ye's attention. They discussed for a long time and finally chose an English song with a faster tempo. Han Xingyi, Luo Yi, and Mo Kikai were all there trying out the tunes to get a feel for it. Ye Wei played it on a loop with headphones and memorized the lyrics. She would occasionally look up at the other three, and her eyes would eventually fall on their ears. Ye Wei quietly touched his earlobe. Han Xingyi also had earrings, and Mo Kikai also had earrings. They only had one ear pierced, they looked so cool. She lowered her head every time she took a sneak peek, and finally Mo Kikai caught her once. Mo Kikai looked at her funny. "Ye Wei, do you want these earrings?" She quickly denied it, her head shaking like a rattle. Luo Yi strummed the bass, and a thick and loud sound came out from the mid-bass range. Luo Yi seemed to look down on Ye Wei's weakness, and his tone was not too friendly. "She seems to be a good girl, I'm afraid Yezikin is in charge." Ye Wei couldn't bear to hear anyone say anything bad about her brother, so she immediately took the whole problem on herself. "It's not my brother. It's me who is afraid of pain." Mo Kikai smiled and played the drums with drumsticks. Da dong dong dash. The speed increased, her body movements were well controlled, and the overall look was very interesting. Yezi stared at the others with envy. Mo Kikai's drumming stopped suddenly, and she suddenly lowered her head and leaned towards Ye Wei, saying in a joking tone, "Let me tell you a story. Legend has it that when you get your ears pierced, if you think about a man, she will still be a woman in her next life, and she will be his woman." Huh? Ye Wei opened his mouth slightly. Looking at her confused look, Mo Kikai suddenly laughed loudly. "Forget it, you are so simple, you can't understand what I'm telling you." Ye Wei reached out and scratched his hair, and for the first time when someone ended the topic, he asked, "Do you mean we will be together?" "Yes, yes, together forever." That. Just when Ye Wei wanted to ask something, Han Xingyi, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly started playing the guitar, interrupting the conversation between the two. At the end of 2 hours, Han Xingyi offered to take Ye Wei home. Ye Yi bluntly refused. But he couldn't bear Han Xingyi's shamelessness and followed her. "Little idiot, we are the front desk and teammates, what's wrong with sending you home?" "Don't want. If someone picks you up, it won't stop me from taking you back. Otherwise, you can take me back. You have a driver at home." Ye Wei said that he had a driver at home, so Han Xingyi called her in front of her. I don't know what the other person said, but I only heard Han Xingyi yelling, "What? The car broke down? Can't come? Is your wife going to give birth? Okay, okay, go ahead, go ahead." Less than a minute later, Han Xingyi hung up the phone and looked at Ye Wei miserably. Ye Wei ignored him and just looked up to see the car parked in front of him. Her brother Yezikin, whom she thought about day and night, was leaning against the car with her hands folded. See Han Xingyi flirting with her? Dead, dead. Have you captured the point of this chapter? I'm wondering what attitude my brother will take towards Little Belle. Quietly, I have thought about letting Han Xingyi take the position. Does anyone support him? End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 37. Chapter 37 Who are you competing for? When Yezikin saw her and Han Xingyi walking together, Ye Wei felt very uneasy. She thought to herself, my brother will definitely be angry. However, no war was started. Yezikin not only did not have a cold face, he even took the initiative to walk to her side and help her take off the skull bag from her shoulder. Little Belle, are you hungry? Huh, Ye Wei was a little confused when he first heard this question. He shook his head subconsciously and said, I'm not hungry. But the moment he finished speaking, Ye Wei immediately changed his words, brother, I'm hungry, very hungry. Finally, she waited until her brother took the initiative to talk to her and smiled so beautifully. She refused to let go of this opportunity no matter what. Okay, Yezikin smiled at her, and when he raised his gaze to Han Xingyi, the smile on his face did not fade away. Is this your teammate? Seeing that Yezikin was completely lifeless, Ye Wei suddenly relaxed and introduced Han Xingyi out without warning. Yeah, brother, his name is Han Xingyi, and he is the guitarist of our team. Han Xingyi stood there proudly, waiting to see what Yezikin was doing. Yezikin clearly knew him and had blatantly warned him in various ways a few days ago. Why did he change his gender today? Yezikin touched Ye Wei's head and took the initiative to hold her cold hand. Little Ling Dang, say goodbye to your teammates, my brother will take you to eat. The warm touch made Ye Wei feel his brother's love again, and he smiled happily heartlessly. She said goodbye to Han Xingyi and had long forgotten about Han Xingyi's cheating in acting. Han Xingyi is not going to do it this time. Han Xingyi was not afraid of trouble and squeezed in front of the two brothers and sisters. Little idiot, you clearly said you would send me home, how come you don't keep your word? Ye Wei shook his head and refuted his words seriously, I didn't promise you. But Han Xingyi didn't give up. He lifted the guitar behind his back and put it on Ye Wei's shoulder in front of Yezikin. Ah! Ye Wei suddenly screamed softly when he was touched by the stranger, turned around and hid in Yezikin's arms. Hello. Han Xingyi tried to call her, but Yezikin had already stretched out his hand to block him out. Classmate Han, enough is enough, the only thing I don't like is the approach of strangers. Yezikin gave a warning, and a faint cold light flashed in his silent eyes. He put his skull bag on his shoulder and directly picked up the petite Ye Wei. Han Xingyi watched the two of them hugging each other closely, and the way Ye Wei relied on Yezikin wholeheartedly hurt Han Xingyi's eyes inexplicably. Funny. Shaking his head to get rid of all the nonsense thoughts in his mind, he turned his temper on the late driver. The frightened Ye Wei was now entangled tightly with Yezikin. Ever since the accident that happened to Ye Wei when he was a child, he has become sensitive to many things, including not liking the touch of strangers. This made Yezikin inexplicably happy. Because she only relied on Yezikin. So, the way to soothe Ye Wei's mood is very simple, as long as Yezikin's hug can do it. Yezikin hugged her and said, you are still so timid. I didn't even expect you to participate in this competition. Why? This topic made Ye Wei slightly embarrassed. She muttered that she couldn't explain clearly, and used Han Xingyi as a shield to make a few random remarks, just, Han Xingyi is very good, just, support me. Oh, because of Han Xingyi. Yezikin's fingers suddenly touched Ye Wei's chin. The deep voice seemed to be deliberately suppressing some dangerous emotion. Say it again, the little Belle will become stronger. There is also the elder brother. He is possessive of little Belle but not controlling. He does not want little Belle to continue to be weak, so he will use alternative methods to let little Belle grow. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Luke Hixie. Chapter 38. Chapter 38 Brothers World. Oh, because of Han Xingyi. No. No. Ye Wei's hand grasped the hem of his clothes tighter and tighter. Yezikin's hand shook to break the brief dullness, because Ye Zi was very close, and she could hear Nangong Luo inviting her brother to the party. It is not a hypocritical dinner party for the family, but a party of wanton indulgence in the busiest bar. It is a party that only belongs to them. Ye only knows, but she has never been there. Perhaps because of the Cold War in the past 2 days, she suddenly felt that she couldn't control her heart and was a little angry. The feeling of anger made her very irritable. Yezikin hung up the phone, his eyes still falling on Ye Weiwei's face. Continue the topic just now, tell me, why do you want to participate in the competition? If it had been just now, Ye Weiwei would have admitted his true thoughts with a blushing face. But at this moment, she suddenly became stubborn. Although she lowered her head, she resisted Yezikin for the first time. This is my secret. My brother also has secrets, doesn't he? After hearing this sentence, Yezikin was stunned for a moment. After putting down the phone, his free hand suddenly pinched Ye Wei's distant face. He seemed to feel incredible. Little Belle, are you questioning me? Ye Weiwei sniffed, feeling very depressed. This is not the first time this matter has been mentioned. A long time ago, she tried to learn more about her brother, but he refused to take her with him. So from beginning to end, Ye Weiwei only knew that Nangong Luo was his brother's friend, because Nangong Luo happened to be at Xinjiao Academy. Looking at Ye Wei's stubborn expression, Yezikin hugged her into his arms again. Little Lingdang, I didn't mean to hurt you. What do you want to do? I'm just curious. It's just because she once saw a photo of Yezikin. He was rampant and evil, which was the opposite extreme from the noble and elegant image that appeared in everyone's eyes. She has been curious about it since then, but she never dared to mention it. This time, she held Yezikin's finger and mentioned again that she wanted to try it again, just this time. Is Little Belle a part of Brother Curious World? Certainly. What should I do if you don't like it? After being a gentle and doting brother for a long time, I am really afraid of accidentally exposing my dark side in front of an innocent child. What if his Little Belle scares him? The innocent girl expressed her attitude, and her strong emotions overflowed only at that moment. No. As long as you are a brother, Little Lingdang will like her very much. It turns out that Little Lingdang likes me so much that I can't refuse. At that moment, Ye Wei always felt that his brother had become a little different. At the urging of Nangong Luo's 3 phone calls, Yezikin's car finally stopped. Ye Weiwei held Yezikin's hand and followed him curiously, looking at the environment that he had never been exposed to before. Following the feast. Crowded. It is a place where my brother once said that only bad students come. But, her brother brought her here. She was not afraid at all and was looking forward to it. Little Belle, you still have a chance to regret it now. Once you go in. That means entering Yezikin's world in advance, without even a way out. Ye Weiwei held his hand and shook her head. I won't regret it. As long as I follow my brother, Little Lingdang won't be afraid of anything. Really? Yezikin lowered his head to hide the deepening light in his eyes, and a smile suddenly bloomed on his lips. Then, come on. Brother's World, exciting. Excited. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 39. Chapter 39. My little cutie. Yezikin's world. From the moment I walked into an unfamiliar environment, the only thing that lingered in my ears at night was the noise. Various cheers and shouts, as well as the appropriate BGM, created a lively atmosphere. Some game competition seemed to be live broadcast on the most conspicuous screen in the hall. Nangong Luo still had an anxious expression on his face when he walked out. Boss, I've been waiting for you for so long. Yezikin remained calm. No hurries. Our team will be next. Hurry. Boss, hurry in. Nangong Luo thought that Yezikin should be walking very fast, but when he took a few steps and turned his head, he saw that Yezikin hadn't caught up yet. Nangong Luo was about to urge him when he turned around and saw Ye Weiwei's petite figure hiding next to Yezikin. Boss, why did you bring the little one? Nangong Luo rubbed his eyes, suspecting that he was hallucinating. Yezikin glanced at him and said, my people, what can't you do? No, she's a good girl. Nangong Luo wanted to say that she, a good girl, would definitely not like such a lively environment, but seeing the protective look on Yezikin's face, Nangong Luo had no choice but to the words were swallowed back into his stomach. Ye Weiwei stretched out her white and tender little hand and waved, and shouted in a very obedient and polite manner, good evening, brother Nangong. Nangong Luo nodded flattered and ran towards the room as if running for his life. Ye Weiwei looked up at Yezikin in confusion and said, brother Nangong is so strange. Leave him alone. Yezikin touched Ye Weiwei's hair with an expressionless expression, and led her forward. Speaking of which, Nangong Luo ran into a specific room and made a huge noise, everyone, be prepared, the boss is in trouble tonight. The people in the room gave Nangong Luo a blank look as if he were a fool. One of the girls with long, flowing black hair on her head immediately held her hands up to her heart, and deliberately imitated Didi's tone of voice to disgust him, Luo, don't be startled, it will scare people's fragile little hearts. Nangong Luo heard the weak voice, his baby face became stiff, and he grinned in disgust, little Xing, please pull me down. The name of the girl with long, elegant black hair, Mi Kexing. In the room, Su Tangzi, a real girl with golden pear curls, put down her mobile phone, propped her chin up, and asked lazily, what's going on? Nangong Luo was about to explain when he glanced back and saw that a certain protagonist was holding the hand of a cute girl walking towards him. Nangong Luo stood directly in the room and left the doorway open for the two of them. That night Zikin appeared in everyone's sight, leading a petite girl with a round face, and the whole place was silent. Silly Mi Kexing scratched his head and asked, since when did the boss raise children? Everyone. The smile on Su Tangzi's face became a little weird, and she finally asked a normal question, whose little cutie is this? My family. Yezikin did not hesitate to put an exclusive label on Ye Weiwei, as if he had been possessive of her since childhood. My little cutie. Yezikin squeezed the hand of the little man next to him, feeling that Su Tangzi's little cutie description was so apt. Encouraged by his brother, Ye Weiwei stepped forward from him, smiled sweetly and gracefully at everyone, and introduced himself with his childish voice, hello everyone, my name is Ye Weiwei. Hearing this name, the boy who had been quietly playing with his mobile phone in the corner raised his head. When he saw the slightly swinging bell on Ye Weiwei's wrist, a different emotion flashed through his dark green eyes. To make my brother more handsome, I decided to give him an identity that has nothing to do with family but something to do with games. Guess what? Also congratulations to the person who left his name Mi Kexing for being selected, because the person who left his name said that Mi Kexing disguised himself as a woman due to special circumstances. This unique character caught Kixie's eye at first sight. Warm reminder from the front row, the book Confused Little Green Plum is about to be signed. Under normal circumstances, the status will be modified tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Kixie Festival benefits. 1. The first cutie to reward will be given a physical gift. 2. During the 3.2-3.3 period, chapters will be updated and announced on the same day. From the release of the new book to now, the group is active, the book review area is active, leaving messages and voting, and cuties with fan value will be given book coins, at least 3 people will be selected. I hope everyone can win more benefits. End of this chapter. My green plums are super sweet. Author, Lu Kixi. Chapter 40. Chapter 40, Brother is Awesome. Before everyone could be introduced, someone came from outside to inform them to come on stage. Ye Weiwei didn't understand what it meant to come on stage, but she saw the long-haired girl Mi Kexing and the pear-shaped Su Tangzi standing up one after another. Including the boy in the corner with a withdrawn face that said "Keep away from strangers" also stood up. Another young lady with short red hair squeezed in, clutching her stomach. Come, I'm back." The sudden appearance of a group of strange people made Yui a little confused, but fortunately they were all very unique. The long, straight black girl voice is that of a boy, the gender is unknown, and he has a cute name, Mi Kexing. The girl with the golden pear blossom roll is Xiao Yuyan, with a very beautiful name, Su Tangzi. The solitary man with a "keep away from strangers" face said nothing from beginning to end. His name is Gu Jinsi. The red-haired young lady is the lonely man's younger brother, named Gu Li. When joking, he affectionately calls him Little Pear. Nangong Luo wanted Yui to stay in the private room and watch the live video, but Yui looked at Yezikin with his pitiful eyes, full of prayer. Yezikin took the person directly without saying a word. Nangong Luo once again saw Yezikin's partiality and shouted, "Boss, you're a 6-year-old, and you even have a girl during the live broadcast." That's right, they are playing an esports match tonight and will not show their faces in the two-dimensional live game video, but their true faces can be seen at the scene. Their team is called Team Y.L, and it has extremely high popularity in the two-dimensional game competition. The reason why Yezikin is called the boss is because he has godlike operating skills. He has played all over the top lane, mid lane, AD, auxiliary jungle, etc. To put it simply, anything can be done. Ever since the little boy Gu Li followed his brother into the trap, Yezikin has retreated behind the scenes and become the exclusive anchor of the Y.L team. He has won a large number of fans with his male voice that can freely switch between clean and clear, deep and mellow. Sister Yui, watch out tonight. Brother Nangong will show you tonight and kill everyone. Nangong Luo stared at a baby face and tried to pretend to be domineering, which made Yui burst into laughter. But her next words were, "What about brother? Nangong Luo feels wronged and hurts my heart. Your brother won't fight me." Yezikin only explained, "Game commentary. Wow. Brother is so awesome." Yui showed an expression of admiration, which made Nangong Luo vomit blood. As soon as the host introduced the Y.L team to the field, the fans below cheered and the banners they held up immediately changed. Ye was assigned to the front position, and she heard the deafening screams in her ears. She was originally not used to such an environment, but because of Yezikin, she suddenly felt her heart beating faster, which represented excitement. Yui slowly stretched out his hand and waved with those crazy fans. Nangong Luo first came on stage and blew a kiss to the fans, and there was another wave of screams at the scene. "Ah! Luo Dian is so cute." Nangong Luo is the most beloved fan in the team. Mi Kexing is also relatively out of the ordinary. Su Tangzi appears normally, and Gu Jinsi remains silent. Gu Li, who was having fun and getting ready to play, suddenly bent over and clutched his stomach. He looked around and finally placed his hope on Yezikin, who was about to start the game live broadcast room. I, Brother Chen comes to the rescue. My stomach starts to hurt again." Yezikin frowned, "I told you not to show up." The people in the outfield waited for a long time, but saw that only 4 of the Y.L team came up. "What's going on?" The fans started talking in the audience. La Knight, the only one, stared nervously at the entrance. Gu Jinsi and Gu Li have both been selected. End of this chapter.